Hey guys, welcome back to another What's for Dinner video. I've got some easy and delicious meals to share with you. Let's get started. Tonight's dinner, or today's lunch, it's Sunday at about 3 p.m. We kind of just eat one big meal whenever we get to it. So for today's dinner, we are having a homemade, homemade hamburger helper. Whoops. So I have 1 pound of ground beef here that I've cooked up with some onion that I just have pulled out from the freezer. It's just about, there's a little bit of pink, but that's all right. We're gonna be cooking it some more. I'm going to season that with about a teaspoon of paprika, teaspoon of garlic powder. I have already drained this as well, drained the grease. Whoa. And about a teaspoon of parsley, a dash of cayenne pepper, and then you'll do salt and pepper to taste. I'm gonna mix this all together. This dinner comes together in probably about 30 minutes. Mine took a little longer. I saved you the cooking of the ground beef. One, because you've seen that done, but two, it was frozen, so it took a little while because meal planning has not been my strength lately, but we're still eating at home. Now I'm gonna add in 1.5 cups of milk. I'm using almond milk just because that's what I always use. I will have the recipe linked down below for you because I am doing a little bit of a variation. I'm using some broth from the freezer, so if you see me pouring it from a bag, that's what that's about. I'm using chicken broth instead of beef broth because I don't have any beef broth. I need to actually make some because I have some beef bones. But the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of broth. I am doing 2 cups because it also calls for a can of tomato sauce, and I don't have any. I thought I did. I have like marinara sauce, but this is like calling for just like the plain tomato sauce. So what we're gonna do is add in some tomato paste. So I'm gonna do a can of tomato paste, and basically tomato paste is thickened tomato sauce, more or less. The recipe called for an 8 ounce can of tomato sauce. I have so many tomato products in the pantry, but no tomato sauce. But that's okay. My tomato paste really, really needs to be used. So this is a 6 ounce can of tomato paste, and I figure with the extra liquid, that's probably about the same. I don't know. I might be wrong. But we're just going to mix this together. I'm gonna just try to get that tomato paste worked in before we add in our noodles. I'm probably also, by the way, going to just do some like steamed green beans on the side, just to add more of a veggie in. There's, I guess tomatoes and onion in this, but I wanna add like a real veggie. We're gonna add in 2 cups of uncooked pasta. Probably gonna stick to this because the measuring cup was wet from the milk. The recipe is for a macaroni, but I'm just using this penne pasta. And we're going to bring this to a boil, so I need to turn the heat up here. Once it comes to a boil, we're going to reduce the heat and bring it down to a simmer and cook for about 10, let's see, what time? About 10 to 12 minutes. Mine might take a little bit longer because my penne says 13 to 15 minutes, so I'll probably go more based on the pasta itself. And you do want to stir every once in a while so that it does not stick to the bottom. But basically bring it to a boil and then simmer until your pasta is cooked. All right, now that our pasta is all done, we're gonna add in some cheese. The recipe says 2 cups, so we'll do about that much. I don't usually measure cheese. And we're just gonna stir that in until it is all melted. This is feeling like a perfect meal for today. It is a cold and rainy day, and this just, I don't know, feels like comfort food. Be a good day for soup, but I am too tired on Sundays to do soup. Soup is easy, but it's a little bit of time on the feet, chopping everything up. So this is nice and quick. All right, served it up, topped it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and steamed up some green beans. Really, if your meat is already thawed, then this comes together in less than 30 minutes. And it's delicious. Tonight's dinner, we're gonna have some chicken cordon bleu. I had zero plans for tonight's dinner, but I took chicken out of the freezer because it's like the first thing I grabbed. And when my husband came home, I said, what do you want? And he mentioned chicken cordon bleu. So that's what we're doing. So we're gonna get the coating going before I get my hands into the chicken, because chicken's gross. So I'm just gonna do all this first. Okay, we've got 1/8 cup of flour. And we need a 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs. I also was supposed to have some Parmesan cheese, but I do not have any. So we're just going to skip that. I'm going to make the same amount as the recipe calls for, because the recipe calls for chicken thighs, which is interesting to me. I always thought chicken cordon bleu would be done with chicken breasts. That's how I've always done it. But it calls for 8 chicken thighs. I'm using 3 large chicken breasts. I think I'll probably need the same amount of everything. And then I'm going to add in a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. And then because I want to, I'm gonna add in a few more things. Instead of salting the chicken, I'm going to just salt the mixture. I'm also going to add in a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder. For some added flavor, we're omitting the Parmesan cheese. Not that it's the same flavor, but it's good flavor. It'll go well together. Then in another bowl, I'm just going to crack 1 egg and we will whisk that up. And that will be what we will be dipping our chicken in once we have it prepared. All right, so I got everything laid out so that I don't have to touch a bunch of things once I've got chicken on me. Now, I do have gloves on because I don't enjoy handling raw meat. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to take my chicken breasts and open them up. We're gonna kind of butterfly them. So I'm not cutting all the way through, trying to do it somewhat evenly, but then I have a random piece of chicken here. I already trimmed everything off, so that's where that random piece came from, but that's all right. We'll just dip it in some breading and throw it in the pan. I'm also not using Swiss cheese, which is what traditionally is in chicken cordon bleu, but I was not planning on this dinner. And Swiss is not something that I normally have on hand. So I'm just gonna do it over here. So we're just going with the flow, and it's all right, it's gonna be good. So I have got my cheese and ham, and then we're gonna fold this over. And I'm going to secure it with some toothpicks. And I'm just going to do that for all of these. I'm using, I know I'm using Monterey Jack is the cheese that I chose to use out of what I had on hand. All right, now it's kind of hard to dip them when they've got a toothpick in them, but we're gonna do the best we can. I'm gonna take, hopefully you can see this all, I'm gonna take each one and I'm gonna put the toothpicks in afterwards. I'm going to dip it in the egg. I think I forgot to mix this. I did. Well, I'm just gonna mix this little flour breadcrumb mixture really quick. I just realized I never mixed that up. Okay, now we're going to dip our chicken breast in that. Just being careful since I don't have it secured at the moment. You know, maybe I don't need to re-secure it. I'm gonna just not worry about that. If they seem like they're having a hard time staying together, then go for it, but I think I can do this. We're gonna put these in the oven at 350. The recipe says for about 35 minutes. It might take longer because I have a larger piece of meat than the recipe called for, but 350 until they are cooked through. And we are going to make a sauce for this in just a second. All right, so chicken is done, rice is almost done. This is what the steam is coming from. I tried to set the camera so that the steam wasn't in line with the camera, but it is a little bit. And I got broccoli going over here. But we're gonna make the sauce. So I have 2 tablespoons of butter that is melted. And I will, of course, have this recipe linked for you down in the description box. Now we're going to whisk in 2 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to add in 1 cup of milk. I am using almond milk. Actually, the recipe that I got this from says almond milk, but I would assume you could use whatever you wanted. And we're going to whisk that and let the milk heat up. Now the sauce also calls for Parmesan cheese, which like I said, I don't have, so that is all right. I don't think it is, I mean, it's great, it's flavorful, but I don't think it's going to ruin anything by skipping that. So now we're gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of mustard. I'm using a spicy brown. The recipe calls for Dijon, but I think I actually have Dijon in the pantry, but I don't wanna have a spicy brown, a Dijon, and a regular all open in my refrigerator. That seems like excessive. Sorry for the steam on this. Try to angle that steam elsewhere. And 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. And then, like I said, you would add in your Parmesan cheese as well. We are going to whisk this and let this heat up and thicken. And then we'll be ready for dinner. And this is how it looks when it's all thickened. It didn't take very long. We were just waiting for the broccoli to finish cooking. All right, there it is. Just served the chicken on top of a bed of rice and topped the chicken with the sauce and some steamed broccoli on the side. And that's our dinner for tonight. For this next dinner, I wanted just something simple. I was in the mood for burgers. I think because I saw Jess from Jess and the Boys having them, but got in the mood for burgers. So I just have a pound of ground beef. I seasoned with some Worcestershire sauce, some salt, garlic powder, and onion powder, and then we're gonna add a little extra to some of that, and I'm just going to mix that. Once again, I do wear the disposable gloves. I just don't like meat getting under my fingernails and stuff. So I end up making 4 patties out of this pound of meat. We're gonna do 2 of them just as is, and I don't really show anything else. I sent them out to the grill for my husband to grill up, so this is a very short meal. But here in just a second, I'll show you. I did 2 patties just like that, and then I did 2 of them. I added in some shredded cheese and some bacon pieces because that just sounded fun. Mixed that all up and made 2 more patties. All right, kept it pretty simple with the burgers, mustard, ketchup, and pickles because we've got a nice side salad, so we got lots of lettuce and tomato there. Tater tots from Aldi are so good. And I put some extra pickles on the side because I love me some pickles. But that's our dinner tonight. All right, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new, and I will have some more videos with delicious recipes linked here for you if you wanna check them out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.